Hey, hey!
Good morning, Corona Nam.
I love the smell of alcohol gel in the morning.
ממש, בוא'נה, יש לך יציאות אותה?
So we're still
Hey, everybody.
gathering people. Hey, Offer, thank you for joining in today. I see we also have here Omri.
From Zoom In.
Hey, hey.
So this episode was brought to you by Urban. When the going gets tough, the tough hit the bottle.
Go drinking.
Yeah.
Cool. So I see people are joining in now. I'll share around the first poll. I think the first poll will get things going. That's kind of what I want to start off with.
How are you doing, Elad?
I'm good in my underground bunker, ready for the zombies to attack.
Yeah, same here. I'm not in a bunker and I'm not underground, but I'm definitely ready for the zombies to attack. It's about that time in the movie when, everybody's bummed out because of the pandemic, and then the zombies come back, and you're bummed out that you didn't get a shotgun in time. So
You got the machete you talked about last week?
nope, I didn't. You can't go outside. You can't go outside. There's no machete store open, no shotgun store open. So how are you gonna get all this stuff? You can't order it on Walt. You can't order some shoe for sale online. So how are you gonna get your chainsaw, your machete, your shotgun? I don't know.
Yeah, the bare necessities for every zombie apocalypse, I believe you should have. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Asking, what's your home office? An actual home office, on my bed, kids' room, other bedroom. You should answer all of the above, because for me it's all of the above. Well, except for actual home office. I've got on my bed and the kids' room, and sometimes from the bathroom if things get really loud.
Really loud. Things can also get loud in the bathroom. I don't want to spoil that one. But I do have to say that I've been on calls with really every continent possible this week, and everybody's working from home, and I've got a glimpse into different houses, from Peru to Brazil to Germany, Israel, Australia, the US. And it's really fascinating.
Who has the nicest house?
So far, I think the Brazilians have shown the best taste. But I guess that's also arguable in that sense.
All right.
Hey, Asa.
Let's wait a couple more minutes for people to join. Who's just joined now? Asa. Hi, Asa. It's optimal Q, Asa. Let's see if he writes. In the meantime, so what's going on with you, Elad? What's new?
Busy week. Somehow seems like we're working more than we did when we were previously back in the office.
You're not working more, you're just spending more time with your kids.
I think it's harder than being at the office. But really trying to kind of balance the different working hours of me and my wife is really stressful. I think she's been working overtime as if she's in high tech, even though she's a social worker. So it's definitely been a madhouse for the past few weeks. Offer says he's been working 200%. He's been self-quarantined. So yeah, I can really feel that kind of agony coming across. And Aaron has also been quarantined. Hey, Aaron. So I think we can start this off and move into our first kind of topic there. Aaron, that's the name of your sex tape, is it? So Gabby, I think we can start off with our first topic. Gabby, you back on? Okay. So I think we can move forward with our first topic and
Yeah.
start talking about the B2B marketing. We talked a bit about this last week and kind of touched on the differences between B2B, B2C in these kind of times. But let's deep dive. Let's talk about B2B specifically. We both come from this industry and have a different views on it.
Yeah.
So is this a crisis? Is this an opportunity? What's your take on this one?
So I think it's important to spread to kind of look at this as two different crises happening simultaneously. You have the virus, which is people are worried about their physical safety. You know, like we talked about last week with Dr. Alfasi. People are worried about their parents. People are worried about their health, and people are stressed out and you know, just afraid. But on the other hand, you have this looming recession, which may already be here. This looming, I guess, maybe even depression. So different personas, different companies are going to be reacting differently. You know, people there, you have the immediate personal worry about the virus, and then as a company, you're worried about the fact that people have to be working from home, and you have to deal with that. But then I think the level of uncertainty in the economy right now, the worldwide economy, is basically making firms react very unnaturally. Like usually in a recession, it doesn't happen like this, right? You kind of have these warning signs, things start to contract, hiring starts to slow. It kind of happens, you know, even over a few months. The official, by the way, the official designation of what a recession means in the United States means that you've had a certain level of either very low or negative growth for a quarter. And so like we don't need 3 months to pass to actually know that you know, we're probably in a recession. So I think that trying to know actually what, you know, trying to address both of those pains as, you know, as B2B. In B2C, you know, you're going to be trying to deal with the fact that people are just worried about themselves and maybe about their ability to make a living. But with B2B, there's just so much uncertainty that a lot of firms, I think, are just going to be a lot slower to move, not as willing to make big decisions about hiring, about buying software. And I think that's both an opportunity and a threat. Obviously, if you're a small company, if you're a small startup that sells to enterprises and you have a big ticket item and you don't actually have necessarily a lot of cash runway to get through, you're probably feeling a lot of pain right now. But if you yourself are an enterprise or you're a small startup that, you know, you're nimble, hey, Yotam, what's up, man? And you have an offering that's like free to try and you can really provide value that's relevant right now, I think that that's going to be probably one of the most important things. Like if you can help people right now somehow, and you can be, you know, you can provide real value right now, whether it's with free tools or free information, and you know, we're talking about, you know, creating content, but if you can actually create value, stop thinking about it as content. Like I need this post, I need this. Create value. If you can go and say, you know, I'm Gong, and as Gong, we know that people are talking about, you know, they're talking about certain subjects in their calls, and right now you can actually spread that information. You can give it away for free to your audience. So I would say think about what, you know, what do you need? What do you know about what's going on right now that's unique? What do you see that other people can't see? And I think people are really hungry to kind of get a sense of what's happening in their industry, what's happening in their vertical, and what's happening, you know, if you're in sales, what's happening in sales, if you're in marketing, what's happening in marketing. I think people want to know about that. And if you can share that
But I do want to argue, you know, on the contrary, because people don't tend to do any kind of major shifts. They're kind of paralyzed in that sense. So even if I'm considering a solution like Fixel, okay, so we're looking to pitch Fixel to clients that are currently suffering, handling media in such times. And we're really willing to go to great extents, and to some major clients even offering, these free trials and anything kind of to remove these objections. But at the same time, it does require, some emotional effort from them, right? It's switching from their regular known tools and practices, and inserting some other kind of piece of code and kind of work routine into their practice. And I don't think that they have the bandwidth to it, or at least it's not easy to get them to really assign that bandwidth to do this experimentation while they're experiencing crisis.
Sure. I mean, absolutely. I think that it depends kind of what you're asking, who you're talking to, and how big the pain point that you're trying to solve is, and how urgent it is relative to basically the fact that the sky is falling for them. And if what you have in normal times is like, okay, this is interesting, it's going to take some change, but I'm sure you guys will see value in it. I think that right now might not be the time to push that, and it might be the time more just to focus on creating relationships, creating value, not asking anybody to do anything, and more just saying, hey, I know you're going through this. How can we help? What do we know that we can share with you? How can we make this time easier for you? What kind of information might we have that might be of value for you? And just really focus on that relationship building that in normal times you might not say you have the time for. One of the biggest things I hear from SDRs is like, we don't have time for relationship building. We have quotas. No, you don't have quotas anymore. Nobody has quotas anymore, or at least right now. So I think you should really take that time and energy and focus and really create those relationships.
But can you tell an SDR that doesn't have a quota? I mean, that's what they're measuring.
I mean, how are you gonna have an SDR? You can't expect an SDR right now to be closing deals. I mean, they should be, and if they can, that's great. But if they, SDRs generally are going to be pushing hard. If you ask them to push even harder right now because of this crisis, you can probably do more damage to your brand than good. If people aren't in the mood right now to hear about your exciting new product, and they're really just trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent next month, I don't think you can be asking them to hit a quota. You should be asking them to create relationships with people. You should be asking them to to create friendships with people, create connections.
I do believe that people change based on crisis. People or companies in general. A company wouldn't shift or wouldn't push itself to make some radical change unless something bad happened. They've been their market has been taken over by someone else, or they've gone through some whatever internal crisis or whatnot, and this would push them to do some radical change. And at that point, it's a question whether or not I could inject my new software or whichever pitch I'm trying to get there. So I believe there's some level of opportunity in there.
No, sure. I mean, in times of
play.
Yeah. I mean, things are changing. Like, for example, when you become a new parent, for example, that's when you're most susceptible to hearing about new brands. Your brain kind of changes, and you're receptive to new messaging. And you're really tired as well. So, but when when things are changing, I think brain works a little bit differently, and I think there is actually an opportunity to get in there. And this is more, I think, from a branding perspective and an awareness perspective. I think that still connects to what I said about, for a lot of brands, unless what you are selling will help them get through this period, and if you can make that case, make that case. But if it's more of a nice to have, if it's something that saves a little bit of time, saves a little bit of money in normal times, I mean, that's great. Like, they might be looking to save money right now, obviously. But if it's if there's a big investment in terms of learning and resources and onboarding, it might not be the time. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. It's just, it might not.
And I think it ties into changes we're doing again, within Pixel, that we're pitching slightly different. We're not talking about the money you can make, we're talking about the money you can save, and that resonates for a lot of marketers nowadays, which again is a different framing to the same issue at the end of the day. We're selling the same product, but framing it differently. Okay, so first discussion is B2B in general, and really I believe there is opportunity for those who have the right kind of product and people that are able to make that right shift in how they're pitching it. But I want to talk about channels, and I think this has been kind of discussed quite a bit. And I think everyone's doing webinars. We're sitting on a webinar ourselves, so we'll maybe skip this one. But really, where or how you should be kind of getting your message across nowadays in such kind of turbulent times. What's your take on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there are two factors. Bandwidth. If you don't have the bandwidth to be on multiple channels, you should pick one and stick to it. The other one is where's the conversation happening? If we're talking about social, if your customers are mostly on Twitter versus LinkedIn, if they're mostly on LinkedIn, and if we're talking B2B, let's be honest, they're probably on LinkedIn, or Facebook. And I think the interesting thing for Google is that there is a huge shift right now. I'm seeing this across the board, huge changes in searches. You usually have pretty stable search volumes, gradual changes, and then all of a sudden certain keywords and key terms are becoming very, very popular or becoming a lot less popular. So that's one. If you have a relevant, if people are interested in something right now more than other times, and you see that jump, then you should capitalize on that now. For the most part, I'm a big believer in LinkedIn. I've been trying to make the most of this channel for a very long time now, and specifically with my business. And I really do believe the conversation is happening there, both organically. So I heard about the fact that conferences are being shut down back in January and February. I think it was February actually. I didn't get a newsletter. I probably would have eventually, but I didn't hear about it from an email. I didn't hear about it from the New York Times. I read it on LinkedIn, and I think that if you're looking for relevant and hot item topics about your industry, about your vertical, about your function,
Work from home tips.
I think that's happening on LinkedIn, and also just in terms of, because of that, by the way, I don't know for sure, but I think because of that, the usage is up, engagement is up, and I think people are there more often. They're checking it more often, and I think that's a big opportunity to, if you haven't before, if you haven't invested in that channel, I think that now more than ever, especially with conference money.
For example, what are you seeing in terms of CPM?
I'm seeing different things for different industries, but I think on the whole, you should be. Aoife's here, so cover your ears, Aoife. Don't listen to this part, Aoife. You should be decreasing your bids generally right now. On the whole, I'm able to get away with getting a lot cheaper right now by decreasing bids. So if you're running ads on LinkedIn and you're getting all right CTR, you should be decreasing your bids. But let's bring Yotam into this conversation. I think he'll have a lot to share here.
Sure. I really just want to ask one more question on that. Hi, Yotam.
Hi, guys.
Because I think different platforms differ in the intent, and I think this is very true on regular days, right? When you're looking across LinkedIn or Facebook, and people are in a different state of mind. But I think that moreover in these kind of crazy times, I've just seen a research about Twitter that its engagement is booming crazy, but no one's clicking on any ads. So I believe the same behavior would be happening similarly on Facebook. Again, if you're looking at B2B products, B2C would be a different mindset in that sense. What do you think, Gabi?
So I think here's the thing. What I've looked at over the last few weeks is seeing what's happening with our CTRs. On the whole, if you haven't changed your messaging, your CTRs are going down. People are less interested in just reading about you or your product than they ever have, or even your regular content. But what I've seen when companies are addressing the crisis head on with their content, with their ads, it doesn't have to be addressing the crisis, just addressing a more urgent pain point, then I'm seeing CTRs increase. So if you're just doing the same stuff you always have, this is probably not going to be working. It's probably not going to continue to work. If you make small adjustments to your offering, to your messaging, to your headlines, to your creative, then I think that you're going to be able to see higher CTRs, cheaper CPCs, generally speaking.
For sure.
Introduce Yotam.
So we have Yotam here, and I'll give this short intro of Yotam here in the background. So we really wanted to dive on this episode into B2B marketing, and I think Yotam brings a breadth and depth of experience in this field. Currently marketing director at SentinelOne, but also running a large community of cybersecurity marketing experts, and really been, how much, a decade now or even more?
Yeah, about a decade in these industries.
Yeah, so really quite the track record there. So happy to have you online. Do you want to comment on what Gabi said about the platforms and the different kind of offerings there?
Yeah, I think we're feeling roughly the same things as you guys, so I can validate that. There's more traffic on each and every platform, each with its own uses. But with that come a decrease in attention. So you have greater reach, if it's in terms of exposure or traffic to your website. Doesn't matter how you measure that, but more people are online now than ever before. But that's not necessarily a good thing, because people are like, they're just browsing, things are going through them, and it's hard to grasp their attention. So on one hand, yes, it's an opportunity, but you have to be very focused, and you have to be very minded not to create too much damage, especially for our industry in the cybersecurity. There's always the risk of, I call it ambulance chasing, or FUD, creating fear, uncertainty, or doubt. And from what I've seen so far, people have avoided that. So it's very tempting to shout, the world is coming to an end, coronavirus is going to kill us all. And if not, the hackers will come up and ravage our system because we're all working from home. Most companies have been more subtle with their messaging, and I'm glad, and I hope it keeps on like that. People don't need to worry about things that they can't handle at the moment. If you are being helpful, if you provide valuable information, if you bring new insights, then yes, they'll listen and they'll reciprocate.
Interesting, because I have seen ads in the cyber space that have, touched on people working from home and how exposed your organization is. And it does resonate, by the way.
Yeah, I think, and not trying to brag or anything, but at Sentinel, I think we were one of the first companies to identify that this is going to be a thing. I remember sitting in the office almost 3 weeks ago. So it was beginning of March, and I was going.
It's like a lifetime away.
It feels like a million years ago.
It feels a long time ago. It feels strange now that I think about it. And I walked over and I talked to an actual person, our head of IT, and asked him, if we have to go home tomorrow, how do you make sure that we're all secured? And he said, we're going to use this mechanism, and we're going to brief you about this and these challenges. And then I circle it around with the people. I'm here in Tel Aviv. We have people in Mountain View and in Oregon. And then we wrote a simple blog post, just recommendations. We said nothing about our products. Obviously, if you have SentinelOne agent on your laptop, then you're better secured. But there are other things that expose you that has nothing to do with us. Just very top of the funnel, very concise, very helpful, I think. And it got a lot of traction. So we said, okay, let's do a webinar about that. Now it seems trivial. We ran that exactly 2 weeks ago. Some companies already have planned the webinars about remote work for about a week from now. So we're about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the market. It's not that to say we got huge amounts of lead for that. It's not our specialty per se, but we were quick to react. We saw that there is an angle, and I don't want to say we attacked it. That's a very military jargon, but we utilized that to touch our audience again, and we saw very nice traction. I think people who have missed this opportunity, by the way, if I can give them one tip at this point, is to try to think about getting back to work after this thing is over. We're going to come back to another normal, but people will go back to their offices. Jobs will resume. Think about how you can target your audience then. If nothing else, I mean, you have lots of time to prepare. So yeah, we think that we're going to restart the system by flicking a switch. It's not going to be that easy. Coming back to the office, lots of logistic problems, supplies, licenses. I don't know what you've done when people have ripped their cables and ran home with their laptops. Now they need to replace them. People have taken chairs from the office. They forgot them. It's a logistic nightmare. If you can help, I mean, it's a B2B opportunity. If you can help your clients in any way, I don't know, offer them free transport just for all the equipment people have taken home. Just do that. People will remember you for ages. Doesn't matter what you sell them.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about you guys? Have you changed? Like, have you drastically changed your marketing plan, other than events, of course, but just in terms of PPC or paid? Have you been changing things drastically?
Yes, we've shifted the budgets from field marketing. Sadly, we've had lots of events planned for this quarter. They're all postponed or canceled indefinitely. So we have shifted this into digital marketing. Not all of it goes into paid PPC or LinkedIn ads. We've started to ramp up our content creation, doing videos, doing webinars. So I think internally it splits between PPC and content generation and distribution. That's what we've been doing internally. About remote work, that hasn't affected us specifically in the marketing team because we're already working like that. My boss is in Mountain View. We have another team member in Texas, another in London, another in Bangkok. We hardly have a time where we can all speak up. It happens once every other week. When here it's 7 p.m. and there it's morning time. In Bangkok it's midnight. So we're used to working like that. It hasn't changed a lot, but our focus has definitely changed. And we realize that as marketers, if we don't bring leads to the table quickly, then our organization is going to run into troubles in the next couple of quarters. So that has been our goal since this thing has, materialized.
Are you getting anything from the SDRs and the BDRs about, any feedback from the leads? People are, people saying, "Hey, don't talk to me right now. The sky's falling," or people saying, "Okay, we still need this kind of solution. Let's start talking." What are you seeing in that sense?
So perhaps it's luckily for us because we deal with software security enterprises that have dispensed their workforce and trying to work from home. They still need security. In fact, I hate to say it, but now more than ever. So no, we've seen a demand on the short term, and we've been very open about it. We've extended licenses to all our customers, regardless of their existing plans, for free if they needed 200, 300 more licenses. We even provide the product for free for the next 60 days. It was 60 days about 10 days ago. So for 2 months, to anyone who needs it, to facilitate remote work. So yes, people are looking for answers in the short term on how to secure the workforce. I think we'll start to feel the impact in the next couple of weeks, specifically in the US, which hasn't felt the full, brunt of this epidemic yet. But yes, they're still talking to people. People are still listening. IT security, and we're working with the largest organizations. So 3 of the Fortune 10 companies are our clients. Their sales cycles are long. They've already allocated budgets. So it's not going to stop at one day. I think companies are going to be more frugal about how they spend going forward. So in the next couple of quarters, we, as well as the rest of the market, we will feel an impact. That's probably certain.
Yeah. There's a question here from Costa. Let me see what he's saying. What about the great opportunities and top of the funnel campaigns nowadays? CPMs are dropping sharply while most of the clients are lowering their media spend. They miss out. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's more opportunity in top of the funnel. I guess there's more traffic. Traffic is cheaper, but the intention isn't necessarily there. I think it's really going to depend from customer to customer, from brand to brand, from company to company. You know, I'm seeing it with myself, with my clients. They're companies that I've seen that their lead to opportunity rate has almost doubled or tripled since it started, because what they're offering directly is directly relevant to what's happening right now. If they have something that really genuinely helps with the problems that are arising from people being from home, and there are quite a few. You know, Zoom is kind of the most obvious, but there are quite a few tools out there that are relevant there. So they're going to be able to actually, they're actually hiring, you know, SDRs. They're actually growing, and they're pushing on the media spend side. And then you have entire industries that are just going to be kind of shut down right now. Travel, anything that has to do with restaurants and leisure and stuff like that. They're really going to be kind of afraid to do anything. And so if that's your audience, then yeah, you should definitely only be focused on top of funnel, building those relationships, creating value, creating, you know, I guess brand affinity. It's one way to look at it, just, you know, kind of getting into their brain and showing them, you know, we care about you. We're not just here to take your money. We're here to actually provide value to you and your community. And I think if you can do that authentically and with, you know, with good intentions, then I think that'll work for you. That's yeah. What do you guys think?
I'm all about good intentions. The SEO in me, by the way, says that this is one of the best times to be around and really work on your longer kind of evergreen content. You know, while everybody's frenzying around in different kind of craziness, really create that deep, in-depth content and work it for the longer run. I'd want to dive into the research done by Yotam, which I think is fascinating, and talking about some of the key kind of insights that popped out of it. So Yotam, floor is yours.
Yeah, so I can just move to the next slide. Perhaps I can do it, yeah. So I've issued a survey to my community. It's about 300 people strong, and I've already opened it to external people on the web. And I've asked them several questions, you know, just trying to understand, because that's basically the reason why I started the community. I wanted validation. I wanted information from other people. I hate taking these decisions on my own. That's my CEOs always ask me, what are other companies doing? So it's a good testing ground, and a survey does validate what we're all feeling. I mean, roughly 80% of responders, and there were about 80 of them, so it's not like a meager test. They do plan to shift their budgets from field marketing to other areas. That's understood, because this is kind of shut down. In terms of what they're going to do with the money, we've seen that most of it, let's say, most of it will be used for content creation, PPC, ads, and webinar. And we're seeing that around 60% of people are, I don't know if they have been forced or they wanted to do that or think it's a good idea, but nearly everyone is running COVID-19 or coronavirus themed or related campaigns. As I said, as far as my industry goes, I've seen a lot of maturity, not a lot of ambulance chasing, and most people relate to that in the way that they tie what their product offering to the new, what we call the new normal, okay, which is working from remote, relying on mobile workforce, and all the associated challenges that this brings with security. And there are a lot of challenges that this introduces into our life. So people are capitalizing on that. And I can say that as marketers, we're always optimistic. So about 60-ish% believe that we will go back to some normality in about 3 to 6 months. I would say that's a fairly optimistic, but I'll take that as face value, and I'll be happy if we can have this conversation in 3 months and try to go over the lessons learned from this period. What I also wanted to share is that people are, and before that, there's one slide that I haven't done. So about 50% of the people we've asked are experiencing some sort of budget cuts. So it's not only that it's not just that the budgets have been shifted from field marketing into other areas. Some of them are gone. People have started to downsize. People have stopped recruiting. And I think, first of all, it's a mature way of looking at things. Okay, we need to evaluate where we're going. I think as a whole organization will shoot themselves in the leg if they stop marketing, because a lot of activities now are stopped. People can go to factories, but if you don't market your product and create the need for it, then you're not going to meet the demand in a quarter or two, and that's when it's really going to hurt us financially.
I think it's one of the first budgets that gets hit, in such times, and not necessarily like you said. The impact wouldn't be immediate, but rather over time, and it will be harder to get back on your feet once you're missing out on that marketing budget.
Well, CFOs hate marketers.
I think that today we have, and that's something that we've asked on a general survey about 2 months ago, and I think most marketers testified that their greatest challenge was to justify the budget, to quantify it, measure KPIs. Now, you guys, at least at your end of the marketing scale, it's easier to do. And I think that marketers should now focus on very short-term campaigns or activities, even going on a week-to-week basis, test it, run the campaign, see what the impact is, evaluate if it's effective. If not, stop immediately. Because we've seen, as you guys said, there's more traffic, but as a whole, the campaigns that have been going on for quite a while are not as effective, and you have to run new, fresh content. And as the world changes very rapidly, also the rate of your change should reflect that. So if we started with a theme or campaign about working from home, and then we shifted to how attackers are now using that, and because we now have intelligence about that, we've been collecting it for some time. The next one will probably be about specific vulnerabilities and systems that you use for working from home. The next one after that might be on best practices on how to resume operation. So we need to be very quick and very adaptive. My take, as I've been working in content production for a long time, is to try to create content that will be usable in the long-term future. So you might be doing short blog posts or shorter clips now, turn them into an ebook that you can even use, after the same goes for this webinar. I mean, it's probably going to be helpful for people in about a week or 2 weeks time from now. And we're seeing a lot of companies invest in video production. That's more long-term. So I think that's the right way to go with the budget you do have. Make small, concentrated efforts, show that they're working, and then you don't have to have that dreaded conversation with the CFO of why are we still paying for marketing when the company is, half shut down.
Definitely. I think
is my camera still off?
Gabi?
Is my camera still off?
Yeah.
Really?
You can get dressed now.
Hold on.
I think it's interesting. Last week we've shown Salesforce ads on LinkedIn, and we've seen that they were advertising business as usual. And when we're looking at them this week, we've seen that they've actually moved some of their messaging, not all of it, to things that are more empathetic, things that are really talking about the situation. So on a paid front, you can see that even such a larger juggernaut that, again, could go for business as usual, is making these shifts. I can also say that on the organic content front, I've seen a great push coming from them, from their local GM from Arnon, that has been talking about their donation to the Israeli Red Magen David, however you pronounce it.
Red Star.
Red Star, yeah. So really, that's been booming organically, which again, it's a good cause overall. But it's really the general kind of message around the brand that's happening, that's being put out there and being put on the right channel for that, where people see it, where people actually react to it within the right context. So that's from another interesting brand there.
Yeah, I think
guys,
that trying to keep the appearance of business as usual, I think that's gone now. No one can pretend that in any place of the world, specifically not from us Israeli companies working overseas. That's our target market, and that's in disarray at the moment. We do try, at least internally and with our customers, to show them that we're still operating. I mean, we are monitoring some very critical infrastructure for very large customers. So we need to show them that we have the resiliency. We're not going to go away just because the office is shut. We've been planning for this. And I think that's what some companies are doing. Okay, Sim, we've taken a hit. Some things aren't going the way that they used to, but we're still here for you. And I think that's going to pay dividends in the long run, both on the commercial side and also on the recruitment front, because people will, after going through such crisis, people will acknowledge that job security is somewhat hampered. And when they look for the next job, they will try to look for the places that have scaled down the list. Okay, I don't think that anyone will go unscratched through this, but they will try to find the places that have been very kind to their employees, they've been kind to their customer. I think this will go a long way in how they remember this situation.
Yeah, I agree. Are you guys still not seeing me, or?
No, it's
frozen.
Black
What
square.
the hell?
You're too pretty for it.
All right.
Yeah, I'm back. Okay.
You're back. You're back.
So we should wrap up. We agreed we're not going to run so long this time.
I believe so. You're welcome to join us next week. We'll have a special guest, Gabi.
Yeah, Jason Miller, previously of LinkedIn and then Microsoft. He'll be joining us to talk about storytelling, brand storytelling in the age of Corona. Should be really interesting.
Yes, so really it's going to be a good session next week. So thank you all for joining us this week. I see the final poll has not been answered. Must be a very tough. Come on. So thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
I think they can't tell you apart. That's the reason.
I'm the white guy.
Yeah, that was offensive.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, and be happy.
Bye-bye.